Good morning. I wanted to go over some of the things regarding content in the future on this channel. If you don't really care about this sort of thing, feel free to just skip, but I'm at a bit of a crossroads as to what I want to do in future, and part of that involves what people want from me, and I'll explain that in a second. And so I just wanted to make like a short video with like this little slideshow, sort of talking about my thoughts about the types of things that I can and want to make, and my goals and reasoning behind it. Um, so if you're willing to bear with me for the next like 10 to 15 minutes, that would be appreciated. I want to talk about my goals for youtube.com, and why I've been doing this for the last few weeks and what I hope to do over the next couple of months. My primary goal is to answer a question that I've wanted to ask myself for quite a while, which is like, do I enjoy creating content? For the last like couple of years, I've wanted to do something like this, some form of content creation, but I've had a few personal hangups, whether it be living situation or personal life or time or whatever it is, that have prevented me from feeling as if it was a good time to start. But I've got an opportunity right now from until like uni starts back up, and I'm more comfortable with myself as a person and all that. So I am wanting to see if I enjoy creating content. And what I mean by that is my primary goal over the next few months is to make something regular, repeatable, and proving might be the best word of proving to myself if I enjoy this or if I don't enjoy this. But I don't want to just like put a bunch of videos, like I record something for an hour and put it on youtube.com and that be it. That would achieve the primary goal. If I just recorded myself, like, I don't know, playing a video game for an hour that no one cares about, like Isaac, even though I've got like 1,000 hours in Isaac, and put it up on youtube.com, I don't think would have any value. So the secondary purpose I want to have behind this is to make sure that I'm actually providing value to someone, at the very least. I just want to make sure that whatever line that I go for regarding what type of content I create actually has value for someone. There are obviously tertiary goals, like, you know, if it's some sort of educational content, making sure it's actually educational or whatever. But these are the two main things. And this secondary purpose is one that is sort of why I have to make this as a video, because I genuinely need some responses from anyone who gives this on what sort of things they would like and whether my logic for things is either right or wrong. If there's a reason someone might want something or might not want something, whether the things that I list as cons might actually be pros, or so be it. I want to make like a quick note here that the LOR VOD reviews will always take priority over any other form of content. To me, those are the most interesting things that I can make. There's a limiting factor to them that I'll explain later. But they will always take forms of other priority. They'll always take forms. They'll always take priority over other forms of content. If I have the choice between uploading whatever thing I end up deciding to or a VOD review, I'm going to upload a VOD review. For as long as I play LOR, I'm pretty sure that will be the case. The last thing I want to mention, which is like a comment that Card Gamer said this morning, where someone was asking for a Legend of Runeterra content creator that wasn't focused on like, you know, cool decks or whatever, and it was mostly just focused on just the analytics. And Card Gamer says she takes content creation much less seriously than the others. And I think it's very funny that this is a day before I'm trying to say, hey, I want to take it like a little bit more seriously. Anyway, so this is like the calendar that I'm sort of going through, wherein for the next 5 or so days, the Aegis videos will be uploaded. I don't know if I'm going to upload them every day or every 12 hours. There's a little bit of thoughts I have here regarding like, is it more valuable to upload them in day-long breaks? I don't even know who really watches them. I can see like the watch time on them and they're not particularly large, which makes me think that like they're mostly just there for like my teammates to watch, which is fine. I don't really mind that. And the difference between like 12 hours and 24 hours is like, you know, YouTube feeds trying to not overclog people and feeling overwhelmed and making sure that like, because they're long videos, right? Then late January, early February is the seasonals. I'll probably only end up playing 9 rounds. And so that's like 9 days worth of content. But if uni starts at around the 26th or 27th or so, I've got a month here and then a month and a half here where I've got not much going on in my life. And so this was my opportunity to try something. And I want to fill this time with YouTube stuff to see if I enjoy this. I'm going to go over my current 5 ideas for types of content. Now, if you've got other ideas, do let me know. But none of them are immediate yeses to me, and none of them are immediate no's to me. And that's why I wanted to make this and go over the pros and cons and get some feedback on them. The first one is what I'm just going to call copycat, which is probably the most obvious thing to do with sort of content creation, which is just to do what like Margin BS are determined to do, where you make like a 30-minute to an hour-long video on some sort of meta deck, and if you've exhausted like most of the meta decks or cool decks, you just go to like a cool concept, and you just make a video on that, and you do it repetitively every day. There are some pros to this. It's obviously simple. It's easy to do, well, easy in quotes in comparison to other forms of content. And importantly, like the nexus of this would be that you're watching like competitive gameplay for the video game Legends of Runeterra released in 2020. And I think all of those are like perfectly reasonable things to go for. My con with this is that this is a pretty well done thing. If you wanted to watch this, you already can. Done by people that I think are a lot better at doing it than I. For example, So Determined, who I think does this absolutely fantastically. And if I'm thinking about my secondary goal of having value to someone, I don't get the point of this sort of content if I was to just do it repeatedly. And so if there's another form that provides more value, I'd rather do that one, right? My second idea is to take what I got from the previous idea and say, okay, how can I make this unique? And my instinct is to make it as Spidzian as possible, which is to create an arbitrary rule system and then follow it to a T for absolutely no fucking reason. And so my idea for an example of something like this is make like a linguistic rule and then force something based on the linguistic rule. And for this example, you would put all the champions in a list alphabetically, and then you just pair the packages of the first champion in the list with the last champion in the list, second with penultimate, so on and so forth. So you would pair Aatrox, the first champion, with Zoe, the last champion. Force a deck with them together, create some sort of synergy, try and make it as competitive as possible, or exploring the synergy between them as much as you can. Make an hour video on that. Next day you do Arazillion. Next day I think it is Akshan Ziggs. It used to be Nivea Ziggs, but they recently released Aatrox. I like this. I think this is cool. I think it's unique. I think it's interesting while maintaining simplicity, as in like repetitiveness and an ease of making. And it feels very me in the sense that who doesn't like making arbitrary rules, right? Like I love draft formats. I really miss expeditions. But there's a major con, and looking at these decks, why the fuck would anyone watch this? If you compare this to something like what Snooey does, where he'll come up with a concept for a deck, and what is enticing about the video is the concept itself. Like, I printed Cunning Kitten, I printed Time Bombs, I did X or Y, I found a synergy point with a Freljord champion and a Shadow Elf champion, and I get to run ARAM. Something like that, right? I think that is part of the reason why they watch it. Obviously, if you've watched Nui for a long time, you might enjoy his humor, or you might know the gameplay style, and you might find that enjoyable or comforting or whatever you desire. But I don't know why anyone would click on a video where they force Aatrox and Zoe together, not because of a intended synergy, and not because of a meta reason, but because they're put together by the list. It's one of these things that I think would be more fun to make than watch. And so if I'm considering that secondary reason even a little bit, it's a negative factor for this one. The third and fourth option I've combined into one because they're sort of similar, which is a concept that I had. I'm going to talk about the 100 games one first. And I think it makes more sense if I would just say the title of the video. I played 100 games of, for example, Talia Ziggs, and this is what I learned. The concept would be a sort of storylined video, relatively highly edited. Think about 20 to 30 minutes in length, where I start with my first game of a deck. I don't understand what's going on. I make some misplays, presumably, and I go through my learnings of the deck and show what were some early hang-ups and what I've learned through playing the deck at some point, depending on if I know people or if this becomes enjoyable. I might talk to someone that like knows how to play the deck. Try and create like a storyline throughout the video. And then by the end, it would presumably wrap up into some sort of guide. I think this idea is unique and educational, and I think one of the things that fascinates a lot of players, I think, is the process of learning a deck, like mastering something to a high level, right? And I think condensing that into a video format could be an interesting thing to do. The con for this is that it's a lot of effort, almost obviously so. And it also wouldn't be daily. It would end up being weekly or bi-weekly. I can't play 100 games of a deck, then make a storyline, then edit it together, blah, 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 blah. Which is a problem when I go back to my primary goal of wanting to give content creation a go. Now, content creation of like long-form edited things is still content creation, but it's more liable for me to say like, oh, I got lazy today, I'm not going to work on this, and then put it in a pile of nothing ever being done. And part of that primary reason was to test myself of doing like regularized content to see if I enjoy also like the grindy aspect of it, right? This isn't to say this wouldn't be grindy, but I think for this one in particular, I would need a lot of sort of desire for something like this to fuel me to do it, which goes back to my secondary reasoning or goal, right? To try and like provide value to someone. The fourth option is just like a guide, like ignore the 100 games of a deck, just make a guide on something like Action Silver or Red Gwen. I've got a little bit of a concern for that, where I don't think I'm the best at these. If you wanted to know how to play Silver Auction, read Card Gamer's Guide on masteringruneterra.com. Card Gamer writes absolutely phenomenal articles, and I learned something from the Silver Auction guide, right? Like, I think there's a lot of guide content out there. Sometimes it's just hard to find if you're like a YouTube enjoyer. Like I know Jason Sational did something like guides at some point. But this is option 3 and 4, where instead of going for a daily thing, it'd be going for a weekly thing. The last one is going to sound like heresy, but I want you to bear me out with this. And it's just to do something that's not Legends of Runeterra related. I just so happen to enjoy games that aren't Legends of Runeterra. Primarily, these are like roguelites. While I wouldn't want to play a game that I've put like thousands of hours into, because I don't think that would be enjoyable. Like I wouldn't watch someone's first video on Isaac starting with, hey, I've unlocked most things in Isaac, here's me playing it. I just don't think that has any like value. But there are games that I've not played yet that I think have a lot of interest. For example, Hades, which is a game that I've recently bought but haven't found the time to play because I've been doing other things in Legends of Runeterra. And I know when I'm like a massive fan of a game, I will sometimes scroll to the depths of youtube.com to find a series of someone playing the video game. I did that for Steins Gate, where I've gone to, YouTubers that have barely any views, trying to find someone playing Steins Gate, because that's another game I really like. Same with like To the Moon. And so I think that even if everyone who's watching this, which is going to be, the insular Masters and Tournament Legends of Runeterra community, they're going to be like, this has no value to me. I understand that, but I think as a sort of overall thing, this one at least has some sort of guaranteed value. Another side tangent, since this is going to be a rambly video, I'm going to be willing to go on side tangents, is that LOR content is really interesting to me because it has a temporal interest, right? When a new patch comes out or a new set comes out, there's very little reason to watch the previous set or the previous patch. I don't know how much of you consume like LOR YouTube content, but I can't remember the last time I would have watched a video from the Varus expansion since Aatrox released, right? There's no point. It's a very temporal type of content to be making on something that gets like live updates. If you're used to games with live updates, this may seem obvious to you, but I'm used to games like Isaac and like watching Northern Line, where I can not watch Northern Line for like a few months and then go back into Northern Line And then like all the videos are just as modern because Isaac doesn't get any updates, or at least he didn't before like Anti-Birth, what's it called? Repentance. So when I compare that to something like Hades, which I don't know if Hades gets regular updates, but I presume it doesn't, it's just a roguelike, that it doesn't have that sort of temporal nature, and it means that its value, even if not immediate, might have some in the long term. But that's a might, because I mean I've got like 101 subscribers. That's nothing in the world of random people who are trying to find Hades content, right? But to go back to like the pros and cons, the pros would be that this is easy and fun. If we go back to the first option where I just record a video of like me playing ladder LOR with like a new deck, it's the same sort of thing. And if I think super long term, right, like for now until February, my two goals are seeing if I enjoy this and providing value to someone. If I'm thinking super long term, if I enjoy this and I want to give this a shot even further into the future, like far, far, far into the future, of trying to make this like a genuine, repeatable, work through thing, I don't know if that would be with LOR. I think there's a much higher chance that it would be with something like Hades. The only con is that while all of these options that aren't VOD reviews are alienating, I think this would be the most alienating. Like, if you see Spidz with a thumbnail that's like, I'm playing Hades, that might algorithmically as well as subconsciously make you less likely to watch the VOD reviews. And that is a reason, because, you know, if I don't enjoy making content regularly, I will still do the VOD reviews. I just think that I already know that they're fun to make. I already know that they have value. I already know that I want to do them. So the VOD reviews are already staying, but I don't want to alienate those that might enjoy the VOD reviews. And I just got the NB here. Like, obviously, this is being asked to a bunch of law people. I don't expect a lot of people to DM me and be like, hey, you should do option 5, because the people that are going to be DMing me are people that have watched, you know, 4 of the VOD reviews and they're being like, hey, do some of the LOR stuff, please. To recap all of the options, there's the copycat format of the margin bay insert tournament thing. There's the A to Z, or more broadly, just like make a stupid rule, follow the stupid rule to a T. But the A to Z one is the most appealing one to me at the moment. The third one is the concept of I played 100 games and this is what I learned. The fourth one is just like a guide. The fifth one is not LOR. And if you've got any ideas that I've not mentioned here that fit my 2 goals, and especially the secondary goal, like if you know something that you would like to see in LOR content that you haven't seen yet that also fits my goal of giving a genuine attempt at Legends of Runeterra, content creation, inform me, let me know. If you want to give feedback, especially regarding the secondary goal, like I keep bringing this point up because when I say I want to provide content that someone might find value in, the only way I can know what value people will find is if they tell me that they will find value in this. When I made the VOD reviews, I had people coming to me and saying, hey, I found this really interesting, or this is the sort of content that I wanted, like Donut, Sleepy Panda, and like a few others that responded to the K-Felt tweet, or were like, hey, this is the sort of content that I was looking for. I'm glad this exists. And that lets me know that that actually has value to someone. If you want to give me any feedback, whether it's regarding something you would like to see, even something as simple as I would like to see option 2 or option 3 or whatever, that's perfectly fine. You can let me know in the YouTube comments, or you can DM me directly, since I presume my audience is an extremely insular community of people that have spoken to me. If you've got your own ideas other than what I've said, you can also let me know of those. To talk about my instinct would be, it's to do the A to Z one or the Hades one. Although I do like the idea of the 100 days thing. But I can see a world where, like, if like I get like 10 DMs or something being like, oh wow, I'm just like enamored by this 100 days concept or this guide concept, that might fuel me enough. But I cannot ascertain whether that's something that is interesting or not, because I haven't spoken to many people about this. I've spoken to maybe 3 or 4. And the ones that I am most partial to are the ones that I expect have the least amount of intrigue. Because like the A to Z one, as I said, I don't know why anyone would watch this. And the Hades one, the assumed audience of people that will watch are going to be like people that are overly biased towards me, i.e. my partner, or like some sort of Hades obsessive that is scrolling through what I presume is a very oversaturated market of Hades content to find, 10 views Spidz playing Hades and then surrounded by like LOR content on her channel, right? The last thing I want to mention on this page is that like I can do multiple, right? I'm making this sound very black and white. But what I wanted to test was like a little bit like the grindy aspect of doing something repeatedly, seeing if you enjoy that part of the content creation space. And I've been suggested, for example, by an IRL friend of mine to like test the waters with, for example, the A to Z one, and then if no one likes it, as I expect not many people would like it, then move on to something like Hades or the 100 Days thing, which I think is logical, but I can sort of beat that process by just like doing it, by asking you guys if there's like a concept that you're like enamored with, or if I'm wrong with some of my logic. Maybe you think that the Determined and Margin B market isn't oversaturated. Maybe you think that this A to Z concept has some value somehow. But yeah, the last thing I just wanted to say in this, I don't know how long it is, video, is to say thanks for like those that have enjoyed and watched the VOD reviews. As I mentioned at the start, they will always stay for as long as I play the video game Legends of Runeterra, released in 2020. The only issue with it, and why I can't only do this, or why it doesn't fit with my first goal, is a better way of phrasing that, is that the only tournaments I play in are Seasonals and Aegis. And Aegis, spoilers maybe, has just ended for me. Now, I know there are other tournaments such as OLS, or the sporadic Mastering Runeterra ones, or the Mystic Shot ones, or even Monday Madness, which is my favorite one. But they've never appealed to me as a person. If you watch my Worlds video, I don't consider myself a competitive player. I'm not fueled by the competition. If I do play in them, I will, but I don't have any drive to actually play in these tournaments. The tournament play isn't what fuels me. But if I do play in them and I'm recording, the matches are good, sure, they'll be uploaded. That's all fine. And the VOD reviews will still be the primary, not the primary thing, but we'll always take priority, right? Like over the next week, you're going to get the Broken Wombat videos. But after that, one of these 5 is going to happen. Sorry, one of these 5 is going to happen, or a 6th one if you guys mention it. I think that's all I wanted to say on my soapbox. If you've got any feedback regarding the types of videos I can make, please let me know. Feedback along the lines of not content, but not the type of content, but the method of content are less important to me. I understand that I can upgrade audio quality. I understand that, for example, like face cameras and stuff are more enjoyable as a viewing experience, right? Like, I know, like for Twitch streamers, for example, like the difference between a face cam and not a face cam is like large, especially in like the LOR space, right? That's my understanding, at least. And so I understand stuff like that. The presentation of content can always change and improve, but I genuinely just want feedback on the types of content. Thank you for listening to me on my soapbox. I guess that's it. Goodbye.